ちょっとこれはちょっとココ会長と相談しよう。ココ会長はミコちゃんとミオちゃんどっちがヤバかったと思う？
私は候補者が3人いると思ってまして。はい
はい。
ミコパイセンとミオパイセンとハートパイセンですね。なんで？
Of all the rabbit holes I've ever fallen into in my life so far, I could confidently say that this is easily the best one. It's not really a rabbit hole, but more of a rabbit home. It's somewhere you can enter and not realize how much time has passed until you notice that the video you posted last week actually came out 3 weeks ago. I'm sure everyone knows exactly what I mean, but in case you haven't been keeping up with current events, there seems to be a trend of VTubers slowly taking over the gaming scene on YouTube. The crazy thing about all this is that this isn't anything new. Most of these VTubers have been around a lot longer than you'd think. Some of the biggest ones you see now starting all the way back in 2018. A reference for how long some of these VTubers have been around, the first generation of Hololive started months before the subscribe to PewDiePie meme was ever even a meme. And the second generation started about a week or two after Mr. Beast uploaded his PewDiePie Billboard video, which was the video that started the entire meme. Which is also crazy to think that was 2 years ago. Back to what I was saying though, this isn't something that recently started. It's been going on for quite a while, and it's not just Hololive. There's HoloStars, which is Boys Only Club. There's Ninja Sanji, which is an entirely different group of VTubers, as well as plenty of other individual creators. So the question stands, if there were this many hands in the virtual pie, why are we only just now getting a taste? The answer is simply it's virality. How YouTube works in places like America and other Western countries like it is a little bit different from how it works in places like Japan. This is somewhat apparent based off their respective trending pages. Now, this is going to be a little complicated to explain as there are plenty of nuances to the whole algorithm and what determines what video goes viral and what is trending. So if we look at both of the trending pages for gaming, we might be able to probably get a better understanding of what's different between the two pages, as gaming is pretty consistent in terms of what content can be created out of it. So looking at the two, nothing seems too out of place, and kinda just seem the exact same. The main difference being is that the Japanese trending pages has longer videos. On the English side of things, it's consistently 10 to 20 minute videos, with maybe a couple outliers here and there. Meanwhile, on the Japanese side of things, the videos are definitely longer. There's still a couple 10 to 20 minute videos, but they're not as predominant as they are on the English side, and there are more live streams, some ranging from the 1.5 hour mark to the 9.5 hour mark. The reason why this is important is because it's commonly known that the best way to make a video reach a wider audience and make more money is to have it hit the 10-minute mark. Because after hitting that 10-minute mark, you now have the option for mid-roll ads, which means you can put an ad, or a couple ads, or as many as you can shove in there in the middle of the video, which in turn means YouTube is more willing to promote your video since now they have another ad they can play. This is very oversimplified, but the main idea is that due to the system, content creation has focused more on short-term videos. Because if it was true that YouTube would be more willing to promote your content if it's longer and therefore has more ads in it, you would see the home and trending pages both dominated by hour to 2 hour long videos. The reason why it's not is because of watch time. Not everyone has time to sit and watch a 2 hour long video, so around 10 minutes is a good happy medium as it's short and not going to take up too much time. Also with that shorter time comes the idea that it's faster paced, which usually keeps the audience engaged for much longer. This is only what makes a trending video though. A viral video is completely different. I'm sure there's a game theory explaining how to craft the perfect viral video, but I'm going to keep it simple. Have you ever seen an hour-long viral video? 20-minute long? Maybe 10? You might have some outliers, but if we were to put every video that ever went viral, those would be the outliers. The fact of the matter is, you got a couple seconds, maybe a couple minutes at most, but that's about it. The reason being is that a viral clip is easier to share among different platforms. Instagram can only have at most a minute-long video. Twitter can go for longer, but it's better to keep it short. as well as the various other meme apps that follow suit. Also, it's just easier to say, hey dude, watch this, while shoving your phone in their face when the clip is only a couple seconds long. So, what does this have to do with why VTubers are suddenly getting very popular here in the West? Well, just keep in mind the idea that short equals good when it comes to the chances of a video going viral. So far, I have yet to acknowledge the existence of a certain type of publicity. This specific type of publicity is not one a lot of people understand. Some have tried to hone its immense marketability, but have always fallen short of the mark, leaving them to be shamed and mocked by the public they so desperately try to appeal to. Memes. But is it actually memes?
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. Where are your fingers?
Yeah, no, cut the Vsauce music, it actually is. There's plenty of examples of companies trying to be hip and use memes to market their stuff, and failed.
Jalapeno fresco spicy chicken is so deliciously hot, it's generating reactions from everyone, like the memer.
What?
Eat spicy goodness like a bow.
Stop! But that's not too important to this video, so I'm just going to focus more on how it works here on YouTube. If you guys were around 2015 to 2017, you might have heard of this YouTuber. I mean, he wasn't that big, he was kind of a smaller channel, pretty underrated, you know. What was his name again? I think it was, Leafy is here? I don't know. Anyways, the reason why I bring him up is because earlier into his YouTube career, a meme spawned after he made a video about conspiracy theory channels on YouTube. This spawned the hissing meme. It flooded not just YouTube comments, but also Twitch streams. Anything that had a comment section was not safe from the hissing. At the time, Leafy wasn't exactly the giant he would grow to be, so the hissing thing ended up bringing a lot of attention to his channel just so people can see what exactly was going on and get in on the joke. A simple joke he made turned to be one of the biggest memes in the community at that time, all acting as free promotion for his channel. Obviously, it doesn't always work out this way, but this is an example of a meme that spread throughout the community, bringing attention to a certain topic, or in this case, a channel, and that channel benefiting from the exposure and becoming very popular because of it. With all this information in mind, there's this one VTuber who has been able to use all of this to her advantage and quickly blow up to the top 4 most subscribed in Hololive, despite only just starting in December. But beyond that, has possibly one of the biggest influences on the Western VTuber community. The VTuber in question is a current Hololive record holder and using the bathroom, also known as Kiryu Coco.
トイレですよ。何を言ってるの？
早すぎるでしょ、そんなスピードトイレ。
私トイレ RTA 世界一なの知らないの？
Starting all the way back on December 28th, 2019, in about 6 months and some change, she has accumulated 373,000 subscribers as I write this, which on its own is really good, but that wouldn't give her enough credit for everything else she has been able to accomplish. Before we get into anything else, I need to address something that does set her apart from her fellow members. She's really good at English.
I see these ASMR words everywhere, but I don't know what the fuck it means, so I want to know the meaning.
Now, there is another member who can also speak English, Akai Hato. But when you're playing a Japanese to English translation game, and you're correcting the host of said game, it's fair to say that you'd have a deeper understanding of the language.
ハトパシャ、ハトパシャ。
なに
キドニーは腎臓だで。
Some have speculated that she might be a possible native speaker, but she's a 3,500-year-old dragon and that just wouldn't make sense, so let's just leave it at it's really good.
Hey!
This is important because it seems like she has a very good understanding of Western culture, and with that she'll know how to appeal to and draw in a Western audience, to the point where it seems like she was one who jump-started the initiative to get English-speaking members into Hololive.
それでは CM を見てみましょうか。
A simple little skit that led to a lot of support and fans asking for an actual English-speaking member. So let's break this down. If you're familiar with Coco, then you know about her news show as a Coco Live, where she covers what's going on in the VTuber community, as well as some funny skits. Since it's a news show, it's split up into different segments, which works out in her favor as it fills the requirement of them being short, which allows the wonderful, beautiful, just amazing translators to take these segments and translate them for the English-speaking viewers to enjoy. These easily digestible clips are more likely to bring in viewers who might not know much about VTubers, since it's not as much of a time commitment as watching an entire stream. So with Hololive being made up of multiple different segments, it's easier for people to spread around the segments they like most. Much like how older gaming YouTubers like KY Speedy and the Crew used to record long sessions and then put the best parts into a single video, the same idea works here. Even though the show itself is not a highlight reel, it still has a faster paced energy you'd find in one, since each stream is around 25 minutes with each segment taking up about a minute to a couple minutes at most. What I've talked about so far doesn't even include her normal streams, which are still really entertaining and the reason why people keep watching. I'm just not bringing it up since it's really up to the amazing translators to pick out what the better moments are to translate for the English speaking audience to enjoy, as well as there's also a difference between attracting people to your channel and keeping them there. She can do both, but we're just looking at how she does the former. So far, we've covered how some of her fast-paced content falls in line with the idea of a trendy or viral video, but what about memes? Well, yes, obviously, but let's go a bit deeper. If we wanted a direct comparison to the hiss Leafy had, then that would be Coco. Not the show, though. Coco is, to get past the YouTube censors, a droog that gets advertised on Coco Live. You can see hints of the Coco meme in different live streams, and usually when people ask what it is, you respond by not answering them. I wouldn't just leave it here though, as she's had a hand in a lot of the other big memes among the fans, such as Watame's Kuzka.
クソ坂回線を使っていることが分かってしまいました。
Yes, Watame's crappy internet, or the biggest meme, not really a meme, of them all, getting them all addicted to playing Ark. So remember, next time you play Ark, it's actually a Hololive reference. I feel like in part her spread of influence via memes is partially because of her frequent collaborations with her fellow members. Doing collabs isn't just a Western thing only, but it does benefit her for the same reasons why doing collabs will benefit anyone. It's just that exposure to a different audience that might not have known about you previously. So now that we know a little bit about what she does to attract a wider audience, let's actually talk a little bit about her. You can have the best marketing, but that doesn't mean people will buy your product. So let's see what she's selling. On the surface, it just seems like a giant shitpost. She even has a tag, shitpost, next to her Coco Live playlist, so it's easy to say that she has a very eccentric personality. Which, hey, based on how many people got into Hololive because of the Matsuri Band-Aid story, I'm sure she'll fit right in. But personally, I think the reason why she has such a wide variety of people that love and support her is because of her honesty. The best example I can bring up is Minato Aqua. There was some controversy going on surrounding her. I don't know the specifics, it's all over and everything's okay now, so don't worry about it. I only bring it up just because it shows her compassion and care for her, I would say fellow VTuber or member, but really friend. A challenge I feel VTubers will face is, who are they really? When you show your face in front of a camera, and less specifically showing you're playing a character, you're agreeing to this underlining idea that this is who you actually are. That's why it's always a shock to people when who they see on screen doesn't exactly line up with who they see in person. Seeing their face constantly on screen feels as if you have a more personal connection to them. So in the case of VTubers, you technically are on screen, but it's assumed to be a persona since it's not exactly your IRL face. And that's usually the point. I just bring it up because even if you play a character, you can still be honest. If you genuinely like what you're doing, the audience will feel that. So I've talked about some ways to get popular, and I've talked a little bit about Coco herself, but I've been avoiding talking about one of the easiest ways to get attention on YouTube. Controversy, and that's for a reason. On YouTube, but in my experience, specifically Western YouTube, drama reigns supreme. I'm sure based on the past World War we all just had where everyone loses, I don't think I need to explain why that is. It's just very fascinating to watch people just go at it for some reason, and that results in a lot of views for everyone involved. Thankfully, this hasn't really happened in the VTuber community, so for a while it almost acted like a safe haven. However, that doesn't mean there hasn't been some bumps in the road. Coco, on April 18th, but I'm just gonna say 420 because I'm 5, was hit with a community guideline strike, which means she lost her ability to stream, as well as collab on other people's streams. Even though this isn't a traditional controversy, it still brought her tons of support, with people rallying behind her trying to figure out why she was not allowed to stream anymore. This is honestly probably the safest controversy she could have had, since it was based off a mistake on YouTube's part, and talking about it wouldn't lead to YouTube making an hour-long exposed video on her in response. This is where conflicting things start to conflict. Beautiful transition, I know. There seems to be almost a struggle of how VTubers, specifically in Hololive, need to be perceived. Hololive is an idol group, not a YouTube personality group. This might be the hardest to understand, since in the West, we don't really have idol groups like they do in Japan. There might be a lot of fans for idol groups from Japan or Korea in the West, but that doesn't mean they know the ins and outs of what makes up an idol group. I do, because I watched every season of Love Live. But joking aside, take the personality of a regular YouTuber and amplify it to where you are that personality no matter where you go in the public eye. Yet, you still have to adhere to a degree of professionalism. There are very strict rules on how an idol needs to act in the industry. Now, I'm not completely sure if they're the same rules and regulations that idols in Hololive has to follow, but it'll be safe to assume that there needs to be some form of professionalism among the idols, and they can't just go around making filthy frank content for the sake of Hololive's image. And this is apparent through some of the interactions Coco had with the staff that she would share on stream.
本気でマジでほんとそういうのやめてくださいねとかそういう感じで言われたことはないよ。なんですけどちょっとほんとそういうの勘弁してもらえないですかねって言われたのとっていう空気にされたやつの
It's never don't do this, it's usually more like hey, maybe tone it down just a little bit please, if you don't mind. But this does cause some conflict of interest. Hololive's main goal is to blow up and be successful, so to do that on YouTube, that might involve dabbling in some not idol-like behavior, but in turn, that will spread more awareness of the group. It's a full catch-22. You want to be perceived as an idol, but you also have to attract an audience. But the way you attract the audience is by not acting like an idol. But you can't not act like an idol because that's what you're trying to be. But you can't not act like an idol because then it'll be harder to grow your audience. So there's this little contradiction. I don't think Hololive is very strict on their idols, and it seems like they really do give them a lot of creative freedom. But this is also coming from a viewer perspective. However, I will say it's no surprise that some of the more popular videos in idols in the West are the more outlandish ones, like the previously mentioned Mott City Band-Aid video, which has almost 1 million views, or Pecora just...
ペコラはないよ、あんだろ、おい。あんだろがてよ、ほら。見んじゃないよ。あんたたち見てんのバレバレペコなんですけど。やめてください、見ないでください。うわ、いやらしい目でペコラ見られてるペコ。
being her bunny self. I can go on, but I think you get the point. Based on how it's going now, I can't really think of anything that could possibly be a problem later on. To wrap this up, let's look a little closer at Coco's channel. We're going to look at some numbers. I'm going to compare her channel's growth to the current #1 most subscribed member, Shirakami Fubuki. I'm not going to compare when they first started, since Fubuki has had a 1.5 year head start. Rather, let's look at a side-by-side comparison of their daily growth. Putting aside the 200,000 subscriber difference, their rate of daily subscribers seems fairly even, with one might having a higher rate during some months than the other. But overall, it's not that extremely drastic of a difference. They're fairly parallel. Compared to some of the other 4th gen members, her growth is insane, so she's gotta be doing something right. The funniest thing to me about all this is that for the last 3,200 something words I've typed, I've been talking about how she's this big brain mastermind who's meticulously setting herself in this position for her channel to take off by doing all sorts of things to appeal both to her Japanese audience as well as her overseas audience. But in reality, she probably doesn't even know she's doing all this, and is actually just having fun doing what she loves. You don't always need to have a calculated approach to something. If you feel truly passionate about doing what you love, sometimes that's all you need.
センシティブではないんですけど、センシティブにしようと思えば悪意を持ってできるっていうあ、やらかしも知ってるけど膨大な努力も知ってるで入られたら泣いちゃうよダメだねダメよダメなのよあんたが好きで好きすぎて
made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see where Hololive and VTubers as a whole end up, just because I feel like there's still so much more they can do with this new genre that we haven't seen yet. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and maybe even subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.